Today's webinar, use LucidLink to backup cloud storage. This webinar is brought to you by Applied Software GRAITEC Group and LucidLink. My name is Misty Scott and I'm pleased to be your moderator today. As a reminder, you can find a schedule of events, webinars, and training on our calendar at asti.com/calendar. I'm very pleased to introduce our speakers and experts today. Rich is a media workflow and cloud technologist with LucidLink. David is a solution architect with Applied Software GRAITEC. And Stuart Smith is on for live Q&A in the chat and at the end. And he is a tech enablement specialist with GRAITEC. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. And Rich, I think I'm going to turn it on over to you.
All right. Thanks, Misty. Yeah, so my name's Rich Warren. I'm from LucidLink, and prior to LucidLink, I spent quite a number of years in business continuity, backup and disaster recovery business. Anybody, if they were familiar back in those days with StorageCraft, I was there for over 10 years. But with LucidLink, we were founded in 2016, and if you're not, whoever's not familiar with LucidLink, basically what we did is we made object storage mount and function as local block storage. Colloquially, what does that mean? We made cloud storage mount and function no different than a local drive. I mean, in the old days, we put stuff in the cloud. When we need to use it, we'd have to bring it down to our local computer where our computer could work on it. And then when we're done, we'd have to send it back. And then, when we need it again, we got to bring it back down to our computer. It's kind of like having a storage shed, like leasing a storage shed. You can never work on anything there, right? You had to go and get it, bring it back to your house. But what we did is we changed it to where from your local computer, from no matter where you are in the world, you can work on that storage directly. That's what we do. That's what we do at LucidLink. The cable to that storage is your internet connection. It makes for a great collaboration storage platform because any type of software that can allow for collaboration or like locking, right? Think about it. AutoCAD, Revit, Bluebeam Review, Bentley MicroStation, right? All that locking works with LucidLink because in the end, to the OS and your applications, we are a local drive. No more syncing and sharing. We kind of get rid of that. So here's the thing, but since we're storage, business continuity planning rules still apply. We're storage. Then when you drill down into this in more detail, right, what your business continuity planning looks at is, recovery point objective, your RPO. How often do I want recovery points from my stuff? Recovery time. How long do I need to get it back up and going? And as we know, not all of our servers, whether on-prem or in the cloud, not all of our data is equally important. Over the years, especially at StorageCraft, I'd see mistakes to where people would be doing backup and then trying to do recovery of everything when it was just a small component that needed to get up and running at that given time because they never did the business continuity planning, determining different, the tiering of your data and your services and your servers, right? And getting the correct RTO and RPOs for all of this. So keep in mind, with LucidLink, since we're storage, of course we have data and you'd want to back the data up on a LucidLink Filespace to somewhere else, wherever, But also, since we're storage, you can back other sources of data up to us. And for years now, a number of LucidLink customers have been using us as backup repositories in the cloud. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn it over to David, and he's going to talk about this but specifically with GRAITEC File Sync solution. So take it away, David.
Yeah, thank you, Rich. So what we have today is we're talking about how we are going to use GRAITEC File Sync to back up your other cloud providers to LucidLink. So I've got the GRAITEC File Sync app up here. And we're going to go through some of these here as we go along, but generally we have connections. So this is a connection to Autodesk Construction Cloud. And here is a connection to our SharePoint. And then what you do is you have projects, so you can create different projects, which are basically combination of different syncs, if you would like. So for example, in this webinar demo project we have here, I've got 4 different syncs set up. You can see the activity of your syncs, and then of course we've got logs as well for you to be able to check into things, make sure they're working the way they're supposed to. So for sources, I'm going to pull over this. So we have, I created this little diagram for today. You can use a variety of different sources. Currently we support Procore, SharePoint, Autodesk Construction Cloud, a Windows computer, Autodesk BIM 360, and OneDrive. GRAITEC File Sync can transfer directly between any of these cloud platforms and any of those platforms to like a local Windows device if you want. Today's purpose is to show how we're going to use that in conjunction with LucidLink to get your data backed up to a second location. And so, yeah. So pull that. Actually, we're going to move that here for a second. So the goal of how we're setting things up today is we actually have a construction cloud set up, which is going to sync to a computer. We have SharePoint, which is going to set to be synced synced to our LucidLink Filespace on this computer. And then we're actually going to add a new connection that syncs that LucidLink backup folder over to OneDrive. So we're going to kind of show you all different aspects here of it. So here, I guess I wanted to show you first that we have a couple of different folders set up. So I have 2 different file spaces. Let me pull up the Lucid app. So I'm connected to 2 different file spaces. We got our demo POC and our basic file space, and they are connected to 2 different backends. So this basic you can see is connected to a Wasabi storage, and the demo POC is connected to an IBM cloud storage. So those are our 2 different file spaces, and they are mapped here. So we got file space 1 and 2, and each of those I have put a folder for today's purposes. We got a webinar. So I want to be backing up into this folder. I'll actually just get rid of those. And then we're going to take that file space, we're going to actually back it up to another file space. So we're going from our file space 1, which is the IBM storage, to our file space 2, which is our Wasabi based storage. Okay. So and then we have here Autodesk Construction Cloud account that I'm going to be syncing information from. And then we actually have it's a SharePoint site, but it's really kind of a Teams channel that I commandeered for today's purposes. I'll pull it over. So we also have a planner team here that basically is empty, just has some files for today's in it that we're going to sync over. So let's go through. So we have demo. So GRAITEC SharePoint Windows. So this manage the settings. So inside this, actually I should take a step back here. So first you'd want to create a project. And I'm just going to name this something. Say okay. And then within that project, you would create a sync. And then your sources and destinations would be you'd be able to choose from any of the connections that you've previously made. So I already previously made a connection to this Autodesk Build account and the SharePoint account. And so those are available in those destinations. And we'll go through and create one here at the end. I just wanted to walk through how I have things set up here first. So inside, and I'll do that again. So I selected the webinar demo. I selected this GRAITEC SharePoint, and then I hit the gear button here. And so inside that, you would select your source. So I've gone ahead and selected my SharePoint connection, and I've browsed through that to find this Teams or the SharePoint site, and then the general, the folder, and you can select from, if you want to go up top to the general folder, or I could do just, a subfolder of that if I choose to. But I'm going to stay up top at the general. We're going to include subfolders, and then the destination over here. I'm not sure why that's empty, but I guess we'll go fill it out. We're going to choose our demo POC webinar. So now we have a folder. We're going to do an incremental copy. We're going to leave files that are extra. We can do scheduling. I'll go over that a little later, but it's just click the checkbox and add the day and time you want it to run, and we'll say okay. And then you can disable one or more of these if you don't want them to run, but you want others to run. You can run it at once just by hitting the little play button there, the start job, and you can delete it. So we're going to check the second one. This is going from our SharePoint site to our first file space. And then I actually, for kind of, I guess I would say recovery purposes, would put this Windows to GRAITEC SharePoint. So this is going back to SharePoint. So we would disable that until we needed to actually make it run in a recovery scenario. And then put this back. So webinar. So we're going back from that. Actually, oh, I know why I did that. I should not have deleted the folders. That was my bad. So I deleted the folder at the beginning, and I shouldn't have. That's why that path disappeared. So I'm going to check that first one I did here again. Make sure I put that folder back. Okay. It means I will have to check this one too. So we're going to go. Selecting the folder in that LucidLink file space. So I'm going from the Autodesk Construction Cloud. Then I would pick the project. in there, and then from inside that I can pick the project files. Now you do have to have a pretty high level of access to be able to do this, so I think it might be executive access or something. So yeah, if your projects aren't showing up, or if you see the project but you don't see the folders, then you need to check your permissions on that construction project to make sure that you have high enough level permissions to do that. So we'll include subfolders. And then this is the one that is backing up the first file space, so file space 1, to our second file space 2, as a way to have it in another location. So once this would be done, you would actually have your cloud data in the original location, such as SharePoint. You'd have it in the first LucidLink file space, which is here, and then you'd actually have it in a second LucidLink file space once this is done. And then we're actually going to go ahead and select this project, and we're going to run it while I go ahead and add the other connection for you. So that's going to run, and then we're going to go create this other connection so you can see what that process looks like. One second. List over. All right. So to create a connection, I'm going to create connection under the Connections tab. That's going to pop open a window in your browser. I actually have to use Edge for this due to how we have things set up. So I'm going to switch back to this one, paste that in here. So it's going to come up and say, GRAITEC File Sync wants to connect to your data. You'll say continue. And at this point, you can choose your source system. So these are the supported systems. And this can be, it says the source, and source can either be set to your source or destination once you get into creating the sync. But for the connection source, that's what that means here. We're actually going to select OneDrive, and then it's going to ask you to log in with OneDrive. Once it logs in, it's going to give you this token. You copy that token. You paste that over here in your connection. Say OK. Okay. So now we have another connection that we've added here. So in our projects, we can go and actually, in the webinar demo, cancel. I'm going to create a new sync, and our source is going to be Windows. I'm going to actually select the file space folder that contains the backup. So if we go, PSC, webinar, we're going to select that folder. And then for the connection, we're going to choose the OneDrive connection that I just made. Sorry, we're going to include all subfolders over here. Sorry about that. And then we are going to select a folder. Not that one. Webinar. So I created a folder just for this. I'm going to do incremental copies. I'm going to sync everything, include subfolders. And I do schedule. Let's say we wanted this schedule to run every day. Say okay. Right. So now we have added that down here. We are going to check and make sure. Let's check this file space folder here. We should have some data in here now. There we go. I think I threw a folder in here. Yep. So I put some PDFs in that project to make sure we could verify that it copied the files down. And then in SharePoint, I did kind of the same 2 files. Then I did a video as well. So we got that video down. So we know we've got data in there, right? And so now we can actually run this one. And so we're running that last sync I just made. And if we check that, my OneDrive here, webinar folder. We can actually see it creating that folder. And it's starting to populate that with data. And so at this point, once this completes, we would actually have our data in 3 separate cloud buckets, or 3 separate cloud buckets, and 4 locations, being 2 of them having being LucidLink Filespace, LucidLink Filespaces. So that is the process. You can see how it's finishing this up here. Yeah, that is the presentation that I have. I guess I'd like to open it up for any questions we might have.
All right, fantastic. So you guys feel free to go ahead and drop any questions you have in the chat. I do have one that was submitted. How does LucidLink handle deduplication when backing up data from multiple cloud sources?
So LucidLink doesn't do deduplication. LucidLink will write to the cloud object storage in compressed encrypted blocks, because it is a block storage device. But yeah, we do not do deduplication of those blocks.
Okay. And what happens if the cloud storage provider goes down? How does LucidLink ensure access to backed up data?
So, I mean, very simply, if, let's say, Autodesk Construction Cloud went down, right? If you've been running your sync through GRAITEC File Sync, it would be copying those files over to a LucidLink Filespace on a regular basis, at which point you could instruct people to use the LucidLink Filespace for access to the files that were previously on Construction Cloud. Same thing would go for for the SharePoint information. You're essentially getting ready or making sure that you're ready for any type of outage on those systems.
Perfect. And this one says, I think you mentioned this, but with scheduled automated backups, how customizable are these?
They are pretty customizable. Yeah, that's a good point. One thing I should mention too is I'll go here and we can show you. You can set runs at whichever day you want it to. You can set whatever day of the time or whatever time of day you want it to run. You can tell it to run for a certain amount of time in there. So I think that's pretty customizable. The one thing, you can also actually do versions, but that only works if you're doing directly between cloud providers. So like, for example, because this is a Windows, technically a Windows folder, it's not going to allow us to select versioning. But if you're going, like, say from, I'll pull this over here. Let's say you were going directly between like Autodesk Construction Cloud and SharePoint, or Autodesk Construction Cloud and OneDrive, right? Like, you can actually click that box for versions, and so it'll maintain the versions between the syncs. And then for versioning on the LucidLink side, you could actually, in a way, get versioning there too, and that would just be accomplished by setting snapshots up in LucidLink to happen in between the times that your syncing occurs with file sync. So if you went snap here, if I pull the LucidLink app up, control panel. Any other questions while I am working through this? Because we're
Yeah,
No
I
questions.
just wanted to jump in for a second, David.
Yeah.
So on the latest version of FileSync, we support versioning from Windows to the cloud and cloud to cloud. So we can version as long as you're going to a cloud destination, even if it's coming from Windows. And for the scheduling, you can run it daily. You can specify a start time, and the interval is the frequency. So it goes from 15 minutes to 24 hours. So if you set it to 15 minutes, it will run every 15 minutes for that day. And in the next release, we're looking to add more customization to the scheduling. So we're constantly pushing updates out on the product on a 1 to 2 month basis.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
And I did put on the screen for you guys, if you're interested in a free trial of LucidLink, you can click right there on the screen and we will get you hooked up. And David, did you have any final comments about customization or anything like that?
No, I don't think so. I will actually, in the chat, I will drop a link for a business continuity article that Rich actually wrote on LucidLink support site, which will kind of help also give people an idea of how they can think about their backups.
Fantastic. All right. All right. So David, Rich, or Stuart, are there any final things that you guys wanted to say to close off the webinar? We don't have any other questions, but just want to give you that opportunity.
I'm good.
Yeah,
All right,
I'm good. I'm just encourage anybody who hasn't tried LucidLink yet to try it out, and take from there. I guarantee you'll be impressed.
Awesome.
On the FileSync side, just so we got a roadmap for the product. We are in the process of adding Bluebeam and more connections this year. So if there is interest on your side, but you're not seeing a connection that you'd like supported, reach out to us. Let us know what you're looking for, and we can advise you on whether we have that on our roadmap.
What's the best way for them to reach out to us?
So I can give, I put my email in the chat.
Okay.
If that works. So I'm the technical solution manager for the Data Connect solution line. So anything to do with the product, if they reach out to me, I can let them know what that roadmap looks like for File Sync.
Fantastic. All right, guys. So he's going to drop that in the chat. David put his email as well. I'm going to go ahead and throw mine in there. If you guys think of any question after the webinar, feel free to send that over my way. I'll get you connected with the right answers and the right people. You will receive a recording of this within 24 hours. If you don't get it, you can always reach out to me and I'll make sure you get that as well. But I do want to thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate your time and we hope it was meaningful and impactful to you and your businesses. And guys, today, Rich, Stuart, David, thank you so much for joining us as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.